Knowing the right coffee spot is super important when moving anywhere in the PNW. Just like knowing about Urban Coffee Lounge. In this video, we're gonna walk you through the top 7 things you need to know before moving to Kirkland, Washington in 2024. So if that's something you're into, stick around. We're getting after it right now. The number one thing that you need to know when moving to this beautiful city of Kirkland, Washington in 2024 is gonna be the cost of living here. While this is one of the most beautiful cities in America, ranked as the #3 place to live in the entire country, it doesn't come without a cost. You see, in fact, housing obviously is something super important to me, and housing in this region is gonna cost you about 3 times the national average. A home like this beauty behind me is gonna run you well over $2 million. And it's not just housing that gets a little sticky. You see, utilities are only about 6% higher, but you can guarantee you're gonna be paying at least 25 to 30% more money for gasoline here. You're gonna be paying more, probably about 6 to 10% more for utilities. Daycare in this area is crazy expensive. So if moving to Kirkland is on your radar for 2024, absolutely take into account that it is one of the most gorgeous places, but you're gonna pay for it. One thing that you need to take into account when looking to move to Kirkland in 2024 is your opportunities for outdoor recreation. Today, I'm here at Bridle Trails State Park. And while Kirkland has plenty of parks, in fact, there's over 50, which is something that you really should take into account if you're thinking about making a move here. This one is pretty unique. It's actually one of the best and top equestrian parks west of the Mississippi. I bet you didn't expect that in a giant tech town. That's right, while there's over 500 acres of green space, this state park is the only one around that has stables, multiple horse arenas, and actually hosts horse shows in the middle of the state park. Now, fun fact, there's actually a neighborhood just down the way here that's also called Bridle Trails, which has a ton of equestrian properties. The only downside is they never really go on the market. So if an equestrian property is something you're really thinking about, you've got to reach out to me. I don't care if it's that text, phone call, email, setting up the Zoom. I'm gonna have to go on the hunt for these houses. I'm gonna have to call these homeowners. And if this is something you're interested in, you don't want to be left out in the cold. So make sure you reach out to us. The traditional hiking of these state parks is obviously available, but don't forget that over 25% of all of the shoreline here in Kirkland is also accessible by local parks. So you can also take into account the amazing features of being able to boat. And again, like I said, you don't have to buy one. There are companies that let you rent them. Swimming, kayaking, paddleboarding. There is so much to do outside here in Kirkland that you can really create a super healthy lifestyle for your family. And I think if you're looking to make the move to Kirkland in 2024, that's something that you should definitely prioritize. The number 3 thing you need to know before moving to Kirkland is that you would be moving into a city and an area with one of the best school districts in the entire United States. This school district overall, Lake Washington School District, sits at number 3 across the state, has the number 1 elementary school in the entire state, and has awesome facilities like these soccer fields, this beautiful football field. There is a ton of investment from the community into the school district. There's advanced programs, college prep, major feeder into the university here, and a lot of investment from the community. So if you want a place where your kids can feel safe, if you want a place where your kids can excel in their education, and with 66 schools, you want a place where driving and commuting your kids to school is not a huge pain. In fact, I'll tell you right now, that's one of my personal biggest pains is the school district that my kids are at. It's 20 minutes each way at a minimum for me to get to their schools. Whereas if we were here and we had 66 options, that wouldn't be something that we were necessarily facing. So one thing to know about here is you don't necessarily have to pay for a top-rated private school in order for your kids to get a fantastic education in this next year. The number 4 thing you gotta know about moving out here to Kirkland for 2024 is how safe of an area it is. The crime rate here is exceptionally low. The crime rates show that the crime rate is about 116 per 100,000 residents, and some exceptionally low numbers when it comes to violent crimes. Overall, Kirkland has a really safe feel to it. People are just out here cruising around and having fun. While many cities are really struggling with crime, Kirkland here is actually safer than 70% of all cities in the United States. So before you go writing it off due to the higher cost of living, that is something I really want you to take into account for this next year, is that you're gonna pay a higher cost of living in Kirkland, but you're also gonna be in this community where typically everyone feels safe and is comfortable being out on the streets and walking around. The next thing that you really need to know before moving to Kirkland, Washington in this next year is how incredibly strong this economy is. We're sitting right now at the Google campus, which is going to be over 760,000 square feet of office space. But it's really not even the Google campus that's so formidable. It's the fact that they lease out so many spaces to all these retailers and restaurants. This is just this one little Kirkland urban space. Between tech, healthcare, thriving school system, and like 3 downtowns, really, the economy here is super strong, and therefore I think provides a lot of longevity for the city of Kirkland. So if you're looking at moving here in the next year, I really think that getting a good understanding of what the future looks like here economically will give you some solid peace of mind, and hopefully make it a lot easier for you to give me a call so that we can help you make your move out here to Kirkland this next year. Something to take into account if you're looking to move to Kirkland in 2024 has got to be traffic. Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, you know how I typically feel about traffic in the greater Seattle area. And if you don't, I'm not a fan. Kirkland in and of itself, though, is pretty unique. You see, if you're working outside of Kirkland, the traffic complaint, I think, still stands. getting down the 405, getting across the bridges to Seattle into Bellevue is all pretty rough still. On the other hand though, if you can live and work in Kirkland, I think you're one of the best positions of anyone in the entire Seattle area. Traffic in Kirkland itself is just not that bad, especially compared to all these other communities. And take into account that a lot of people are still working from home. Sure, some tech employers are asking people to come back, but a lot aren't also. And then think about this, there's over 60 schools, so you're not traveling a ton for your kid to get to school. So if you can actually live and work in Kirkland, you might be one of the few people in all of the greater Seattle area where I would say traffic actually doesn't suck for you. So that's something I think you should weigh pretty heavily. I would bump that up in 2024 if you're thinking about moving here, because you will get more time at home with the kids. You'll get more time with the spouse because you will not be stuck sitting in traffic as long. And who doesn't want that? All right, and number 7, the last thing you know before moving to Kirkland, Washington this year is the amazing proximity. Kirkland is just situated about 11 to 12 miles away from Seattle, which translates to a 20 to 25 minute drive. That can be over either bridge as well, either the 520 or the 90, really depending on where you're at and where you need to go. But also just a few minutes south is the great city of Bellevue, which is going to be the most major hub here on the south side. Headed up north, you have amazing places like Woodinville, which is me and my wife's favorite little destination. Great wineries, fantastic Airbnbs. Chateau Ste. Michelle has an incredible summer concert series and some of the best restaurants in the PNW. One of my favorite parts, up to the west, you got Lake Washington. So you're real close to boating, swimming, getting out on the boardwalk, Juanita Beach Park, and a million other things. All right, well, there you have it. The top 7 things that you've got to know before moving to Kirkland, Washington in 2024. Again, Chris, myself, and our team, we are literally getting phone calls, texts, emails from people every single day, just like you, looking to make their move out to Washington. And we really do love it. So whether you're looking at making that move here in the next 3 days, or maybe the next 3 months, shoot us a phone call, text, email, set up that Zoom so we can help you make that smooth move out here to Washington. And until next time, can't wait till you're out here so we can show you around.